This is Irving Locker, a World War II veteran who fought on the Eastern Front, liberated concentration camps, and even landed on the beaches at D-Day. And he's also one of the last surviving members of the invasion. And this is me. And last month, I got to hop on a train and travel across the state of Florida to go talk to him. This is what happened. Now, my stated purpose of going to meet with Irving was to interview him about his experiences, specifically in relation to his Jewish heritage. Irving is a very popular man. He's done quite a few interviews about his experiences in World War II, liberating concentration camps, fighting in the battles, and just demonstrating the true depravity of the war. But there was a lot in his interviews that I felt that he hadn't addressed as much. And those things specifically more pertain to him. And I really wanted to ask these things. It's also very important to me because there aren't many of these veterans left. The fact is, D-Day was over 80 years ago now, and most of the people that were there were between the ages of 17 to 30, and the older ones are getting up in their late 90s to early 100s. So the amount of people that can actually tell that story that are alive is few and far between. I knew this was an opportunity I couldn't miss. Anyway, here was my afternoon with Irving Locker. Mr. Locker, how are you doing?
Great.
It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure, really.
It's an absolute pleasure. Let me go get my equipment. I'll be right back. We wanted to actually figure out where you would like to do it.
Oh, you want to take pictures of it?
Is that okay? If not, that's fine.
I didn't write that down. Right.
Oh, okay, that's all good.
So we can go into a
She said the
storage room.
conference room was open.
The conference room, right. But I have to get my stuff too.
So my plan was we were going to do a general interview, and something I wanted to do with him was wrap to fill in with him. Now, these are phylacteries. In the Bible, this is a thing that the Jews are commanded to do, and I thought it would be really beautiful to give him the opportunity to do it. And I also happen to have this World War II prayer sitter that was given to Jewish soldiers, and he actually got to use it when he was praying. And we got to do it with him, and it was really nice. And we got to ask him some pressing questions on that, which we're going to get to later. And I'm also doing this on behalf of the World War II Veteran History Project. My friend Ben Jackson and I started working together close to 2 years ago now. We did a World War II project on my main YouTube channel, and I just love the experience, and that's why I started doing this. And I've been doing outreach trying to find veterans to interview for them, and this was my first interview. We have a little bit of it here, but most of it's going to be going to the World War II Veteran History Project. Anyways, here it is. I want to know about your family's background. What your grandparents, even like how far back can you remember?
Not grandparents so much because they came from Russia, but my mother and father. I'm the baby of 7 children, 4 boys and 3 girls, and we had a wonderful upbringing. My mother kept saying, take care of your brothers and sisters, watch out for them. And that helped me in the Army, because when you come as a single person, you're not that friendly, you're not that used to living with other people. So I was used to living with other people at that point. But other than the fact telling you we had a marvelous upbringing.
Growing up, what role did God have in your life?
The problem was in our life that we went to shul only on holidays. We didn't go to shul every week. I only did that after I came out of the war, because we talked about God, but not to the point. It was conversation, but not inward. That didn't come from the heart. And that's with most people. It doesn't come from the heart unless you go through an experience and you say, but for the grace of God go I. And that expression to me is so important, because people have no idea, unless something happens to somebody close to them, that they can use that expression, but for the grace of God go I. If you're in a car and somebody gets killed and wounded and you don't, and that expression comes true, but for the grace of God go I, because who knows why or what. Why it didn't happen to me, basically. You know what I mean? So when I learned that expression in the war, I learned it because when they're shooting at...
Who taught you the expression?
Just me, because we didn't have a rabbi with us. We had a pastor and a priest.
So you grew up during the Depression. What did you take away from that experience? And did it change your view of the world in any way?
Yes, it changed the world. My father, God bless him, was a shoemaker. And people have no idea. But during the Depression, when there was no money around at all for the average person, they needed their shoes fixed. They put cardboard in their shoes so they wouldn't be walking into the water with a dampness. So sometimes with 9 of us, he'd bring over $8 or $10 for the day. So everybody had to go to work. So we started work delivering Jewish newspapers all the way through my life. We used to go to church on Sunday, put up a chair and shine shoes for a quarter.
Outside
by the church, and convince people to shine their shoes for a quarter. But everybody was very money conscious. I'm very money conscious from that time on, all the way through life, been that way. Because again, once you experience it and you go through something like that, you learn how important it is to have money so that you can live right.
When it became clear that you were going to be drafted, what was in your mind? What was going through your head?
Not good. Only because 2 brothers were already drafted before me, and 2 brother-in-laws that were very close to were drafted before me. The letters they wrote home were not good.
I can imagine.
The letters hardest day rode home with nothing that you could say, oh my God, it should happen to me. I can't wait to get in there. They took me right out of high school. They took the whole graduating class right out of high school and drafted us. And being drafted is you're coming out of a home. People have to know this. Coming out of a home where you either have a bedroom where you're sleeping with your brother or something, that's one thing. But then they put you into a barrack with 25 or 50 guys. And this guy snores, this guy whispers, this guy keeps 14 guys up shooting crap, playing cards because they can't sleep. And they tell you when to get up in the morning and when to go to sleep at night. And you learn to take orders. When we went to Fort Dix, we were drafted and sent to Fort Dix. And incidentally, you're not assigned to an outfit when you're drafted that way. But in Fort Dix, you learn to march, you learn to take orders. The Jewish language is a derivative of German. So I couldn't carry on, let's say, a conversation like I'm doing with you, but I can pick out a word.
With the Yiddish, yes.
In Yiddish, pick it out from the German and make a sentence. So I knew what they were talking about. But people have to know that Jewish language is a derivative of German. And that's how I got in, and that's how it happened with that.
So when you walked in, when you first saw it, when you were coming up to it, were you prepared? Were you warned what it was like?
No. We were not prepared at all to see what happened, basically, is when we landed, the Americans landed, they thought they were afraid that the prisoners would identify the people in charge. Because if we would have got them, I don't know what we could have done. So basically, they put 1,000 people into a barn, put hay and straw and gasoline, and burned them to death. And when they tried to get out, they machine gunned them. So the pictures I've got that I will show you is where people are crawling out, trying to get out from underneath the construction and everything else.
How much time did that happen before you arrived? Do you know?
A day.
Wow.
A day, 2 days mostly.
And you discovered this? Were these pictures taken as a part of President Eisenhower's initiative to document them?
Yes. There were 2,400 camps. This is called Gardelegen.
How did these experiences make you feel?
Horrible. Logan, to think of the fact that if I was born Jewish, they would kill me. Not that I did anything wrong, not that they knew me. If you were born Jewish, they killed you. And how would you feel about that? The parents knowing the children that we saw, the women, that what they did to women and children, I can't even talk about. It was so bad. That was my experience with the camps. Only to the point, as I've talked about before, Hitler was no good, but the men he put in charge became God. You do what I tell you or else. And they did what else.
Did you tell anyone about what you saw when you came home?
Everybody.
Why was that important to you so that everyone knew?
Well, people have to know man's inhumanity to man. People have to know that God is there, but some people just don't know anything about it and don't believe in it, and they became God in their own mind. Can you imagine somebody coming along and doing things like that to you or to your family, being Jewish?
We saw that pretty recently.
Basically, that was it.
Yeah.
So you talk about knowing what it is and believing in God. That was a big part of believing in God, and that expression I use constantly. But for the grace of God go I. Because if I was there, I'd be dead.
All right. So last one. What do you love most about America?
The freedom, the way of life, the happiness that you can get. Visiting other countries, they don't have what we have. The way of life is when you're free to do what you want. It's an amazing situation. But we have the freedom to live the way we want to live the way you can live, the parties, the dancing, the way of life. It's the same way here in the villages. You don't buy a home, you buy a way of life. If you want to take advantage of it, you can. If you don't, you don't have. But you got everything you can want, be it people, be it dancing, being sports of all kinds, cars, opportunities, a way of life. To sum it up, it's a way of life. Whatever you want, whatever makes you happy is available here. And what I want in America is that same thing, a way of life. So nobody's dictating to me as to what I can do, what I can't do.
So what is your message to the next generation of Americans? The one that won't have World War II veterans in
Be
it?
happy. Take advantage of the fact that freedom is not free. That's my speech for the next generation. Take advantage of the fact that freedom is not free. Enjoy life and study history to see what we went through that you don't have to go through, because people don't believe it. They don't believe it. Holocaust, they don't believe what people went through. They don't believe in history. But if they read history and they believe it and study history, they'll know how lucky they are to live in America and be free and have an opportunity to enjoy life. Because other than that, what have we got? If you don't enjoy life, what's the sense of living?
And you're excited for the future?
The future's the same way. Isn't it true? Look at me at 100 years old. If I didn't believe in that, and I have a wonderful life with ballroom dancers. My wife, God bless her, is 95 years old. I'm 100 years old. We're married 76 years. I still tell her how much I love her every day. So you got to live life and have something to be thankful for. And I thank God because of it.
It's a pleasure. That's
Do you believe me when I talk about, you believe that I'm a happy man?
You exude happiness. When I first met you, when we came in, you were smiling ear to ear.
And it's true. That's my way of life because I'm a happy man. God has been good to me in business, in life, in marriage.
You've had a wonderful life.
I've had a wonderful life, other than the fact of the war. And the war taught me to appreciate it more so. Because without it, if you don't have something to make you appreciate life, and when I talk about wounded men, and I talk about that I'm invited back to Utah Beach, and I'm invited back to Europe, and I'm invited back to the cemeteries, and I'm invited back to all of these things, it shows you and you believe how lucky you are. Because I meet so many people, and living where I'm living now, 90% of the people are bent over. They can't walk. They need walkers. They can't walk. They can't get up. They can't do this.
You're pushing heavy stuff.
I'm still lifting weights. This to me is nothing.
I don't know. That shell was pretty heavy.
I still carry it around.
After we wrapped up, Irving wanted to bring me around, and it was just kind of incredible to see this guy, 100 years old, in great shape, just going around and talking and socializing with everyone. He knows everyone, and he just exuded this happiness that was purely contagious. Things that we didn't address in the interview is, I mean, he didn't talk about this publicly, but he lost both of his sons, and that's just not an easy thing to go through. But you wouldn't know the tragedies this man's seen if you met him. He just was pure joy, and it gave me a lot of inspiration, because if a man like this could go through all the things that he talked about in this interview and come out of it with a smile and appreciation and love of God and love of country, I don't have an excuse, and neither do you. This interview was really important for me. It really changed my framework of how I see life in a lot of ways, and I really have to thank Irving for that. And one of the things he also said that I think is important is that freedom is never free. The lives that I live and the lives that you live were paid for by the blood of men who are far braver than I'll ever be. And I have to be conscious and aware of that. And I try to be aware of that in everything I do. And that's why I also think it's important for us to all be the best version of ourselves we could be, because people sacrifice themselves so you could do that. And like that, we were done. It was a really incredible interview. I hope to be seeing him again. And that's about it. God bless and stay awesome.